This is the interview everybody's been looking forward to. It is Mr. Wonderful himself, Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank. Mr. O'Leary, good morning. How are you?
Thank you, Big J. I'm happy to be here.
We're happy to have you, man. We're happy to have you. Are you amazed with the show? I mean, the show Shark Tank, great concept, obviously. I'm sure you know that's probably why you signed on. But did you think a business type show like that would end up becoming such a smash, huge hit? I mean, that everybody loves?
No, it's been a huge surprise for all of us. And, you know, usually reality TV shows come out and they sort of peak after the first couple of years. That's not happened here. It continues to grow. In fact, last week we had our biggest audience ever. And what surprised all of us that work on the show, and the Sharks on there as well, is this demographic of 9 to 18-year-old young people that have really attached to the show and love it. And those are the future entrepreneurs of America. They're the future that are going to create the private sector jobs we need. That's what's so cool about this whole thing. Who knew young people would want to watch a business show?
I know, and I love it. I mean, I'm a younger guy myself, and it's fantastic to be able to see all the ideas and then see how business breaks down, kind of get to see the inside workings of how it works, how much, how companies are, how the evaluations are done, what they're valued at, what other people have to offer when you bring in new partners. And it's just cool to see, guys like you that have more money than God be able to throw it around at projects that are worth it.
I don't waste it, though. I'm looking for good ideas. And, the thing about money is no point in lying about it. And, I get a lot of hassle for being blunt and honest, but I don't care. Money's not gray. It's black and white. Either you make it or you lose it. You might as well tell the truth every day.
Exactly. Hey, it worked out for you, obviously. For people that don't know, I mean, now you're worth, I think, $86 kajillion. But how did you begin your whole, tell people your story a little bit about how you went from where you were to being worth kajillions?
Well, it started in my basement, like many stories of its kind, and, we were 14 of us eventually sort of got involved in the educational software business, Rita Rabbit, Carmen Sandiego, all of those titles in the 90s and into the 2000s that became famous because we worked really hard. And then one day one of the toy companies approached us, and then the other one did, and they said, we'd like to buy you, and they bought it for $4.2 billion. It was a huge liquidity event for all of us.
Yeah, that's a lot of liquidity. I don't know a lot about business, but anything with a B on the front of the illions, that's a lot of liquidity.
I always prefer a billion versus a million. Always go with the billion.
Yeah, I don't know either one of those numbers, but I'm going to take your word for it on that. Somebody on our app here wants to know, which shark do you least like doing deals with?
I've done deals with all of them, and I can't say I dislike them. I mean, I want to make money. But, here's what I say about Barbara. She flies into that set every day on her broom, so I'll leave it at that.
I like it. It's a nice way to put it, especially with Halloween being yesterday. It's fitting. It's
exactly.
Very fitting. Tonight's episode, you've got the guy the billionaire and philanthropist, the guy that founded Paul Mitchell and Patron. He's on the show tonight. Do you ever get, kind of resentful or competitive with other, really, really successful people, or are you so comfortable in your own success that he's just another cool guy?
Well, he is another cool guy, and everybody's made their money a different way. That's what makes Shark Tank so interesting. It's like a venture capital firm on steroids because every one of those sharks is a self-made millionaire or billionaire because they did it themselves. So they have operational experience, which you don't have in a venture capital firm. You got a bunch of MBA grunts running around. What we have are people that have run businesses, and that means a lot. So in JP's case, I mean, I don't know anything about the hair business. He made billions in it, so I'm going to listen to what he has to say. I learned something, and I really love his Patron business. That is so cool. And this guy's a distribution marketing guy. Everybody can make a tequila, but only he was able to make the number one selling brand in hair and in alcohol. So I have a lot of respect for him.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. Somebody else wants to know, why do you always go with no equity when you're making these deals? You like, a take on every sale or something like that, but you don't like to take equity in these companies. Is that a strategy of yours?
They're not companies, they're products. I mean, people have to be honest about it. If somebody comes in with a cupcake, who wants 10% equity in a cupcake? I'd rather get 45 cents every time they sell one, and I do, and I've made a lot of money. I'm about making money, and if we're all learning about different structures, that's a good thing. I'm trying to craft my deals so that I make money. That's all that matters.
That's awesome. What's the best of all the deals you've helped and partnered up with on Shark Tank? What's the one that's doing the best of all of them, the one that's the biggest success financially?
Probably, the number one financial success is now legendary. It's Talbot Teas. It was acquired by the public company Jumbo Juice. I did that deal with two guys from Chicago a couple of seasons ago that formed a tea company, so that one was a hit out of the park. I mean, we only owned it for 3 months. Then Jumbo Juice took it out publicly. That was fantastic. The second would be Voyager Guitar, which is a technology that allows Fender Guitar, who's now picked up the technology, to do a Fender bender, so you can buy a folding neck guitar from Fender. That's a Shark Tank deal. They saw it on Shark Tank. We bought the technology in O'Leary Ventures. I love these deals. They're all so different. And, of course, one that's generating a ton of cash now is Wicked Cupcakes out of Boston. And Rug Pack, they're coming in my head. I've got so many deals, but they're all based on products that generate cash. That's what I'm all about.
Yeah. Somebody said on our app here, if somebody wanted to approach your company with an idea, how would they go about it? That's a good question. Is it something where, they've got to go through everything and get on Shark Tank, or are you guys open to just hearing ideas from, the common man, or is that kind of somebody else handles that and then passes the good ones on to you?
No, you can go to KevinO'Leary.com and put your idea up there, but frankly, what I've learned in venture deals, I'd much rather put them through Shark Tank because I get free advertising to 10 million people. That's why they're so successful. So, more and more I'm doing my deals through Shark Tank because I want the free advertising.
That makes sense. Is there ever any desire, like a Mark Cuban? He's the guy that he's got a ton of money, but he's also very well known because, he tries to make money in these interesting public ways, like the sports teams. Do you ever have a desire to get into something that's more recognizable like that and become an owner of something to elevate your name and status, or is it more about cash than anything else?
I've looked at a baseball team and I've looked at a hockey team, and in both cases, you have to sustain cash losses during the years you own it and hope there's capital appreciation. Most of the value gained in professional sports is actually selling the team after you've owned it for a decade. But you're going to lose $20 million a year, and that's the case of even in basketball. So it doesn't really appeal to me. I like businesses that generate cash. I don't get emotionally involved in sports unless I could make a lot of money. But the risk is you're going to sustain $100 million of losses, waiting to make maybe $300 million in capital gains while you're operating the team. There's no guarantee a team makes money during the period you're operating it.
That's a good point. And before we let you go here, any advice for anybody out there that's got an idea that thinks they've got some revolutionary way to change something that's out there? What advice would you give them as somebody down on the basement, the ground floor of an idea? What advice from somebody who's made it happen would you give them?
You have to understand that in being an entrepreneur or pursuing a business on your own, that you have to be willing to sacrifice balance in life. I mean, you're going to be so embedded in making your business successful that you're going to give up on a lot of other things, family time, for example, or seeing your kid play baseball or whatever it is. But the reason you do it and stay focused is if you're successful, you've bought yourself freedom in your later years, which is a very noble pursuit because that's why you want to be an entrepreneur. It's not about the cash, it's about the freedom. And that's what I tell people to focus on. Think about what you're getting for all your hard toil. Later in life, you can do anything you like, and luckily, that's why people become entrepreneurs.
Exactly. I mean, that's why I get up and work every day. I would love to be homeless and get Social Security or something in my young age, but I come to work just for that reason, Kevin. I want to be free someday.
No, that's good.
Free of this slavery they call employment. Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank. Tonight's episode on ABC, 8 o'clock here in Billy, is going to be fantastic with the guy from Paul Mitchell and Patron. Every episode, though, is great. You can watch back episodes on Hulu or any of those devices. Check them out and check it out tonight on ABC. Mr. Wonderful, you've been wonderful. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for taking the time, and come see us in Montana sometime.
Thank you. Take care.
The Big J Show. Weekday mornings from 6 till 10 on Billings' #1 hit music station, Hot 101.9.